So much for staying on the JoyNews channel. Now time to cross over to the AMA head office, where the Center for Coastal Management at the University of Cape Coast is currently organizing a town hall meeting with the political parties on the fisheries sector. Enjoy the rest of our programs.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good evening to you once again. And for our online audience, we are coming to you live from the Accra Metropolitan Assembly here in Accra. This program is live on JoyNews, Joy FM, ATL FM, and the various social media handles. We want to appreciate your company this evening. It's going to be a very engaging session for the next 2 hours. And the major assignment is to engage with the major political parties in the country, just to have a perspective of the understanding of the fisheries sector. This evening's encounter is on towards 2020 national elections, town hall engagement with political parties on fisheries and coastal management challenges in Ghana. As you see, all the 5 major political parties have been invited for this program, and we have some representatives of these political parties here. In the course of this evening's engagement, we'll be hearing from the APC and their stance on the fisheries sector. We'll be hearing also from the CPP, from the NDC, from the NPP, and from the PNC. My name is Mary Amabawa. I am with ATL FM, University of Cape Coast, and I am your MC, your moderator for the evening. Before we engage with the political parties, we also have a program outline, and we want to engage that strictly. I'll take the opportunity to welcome the Vice Chancellor of the University of Cape Coast, Professor Johnson Nyako Boampon, to deliver the purpose, of course, to give rather the welcome address. Please, with a hand of applause, let's invite Professor Johnson Nyako Boampon.
Representatives of political parties, traditional authorities present, Registrar, University of Cape Coast, Director of the Center for Coastal Management, and other officials from UCC, scientists from academia and research institutions, practitioners of fisheries industry, directors of ministries and agencies, government officials, members of civil society, members of the press, viewers and other stakeholders monitoring the program online, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good evening. The University of Cape Coast is a seafront university, and as a result, yearns for progress and improvement in the fisheries and coastal sectors. Yet it appears the country is continually confronted with evidence of setbacks in these areas. As a university, we believe that through strong partnership and committed leadership, we can solve Ghana's fisheries problems. We can also reverse the declining trend in fish catches, improve nutrition and livelihoods, ensure food security, reduce health challenges, and threats to maritime security. To derive good results from the huge investment made by the government of Ghana and development partners, there is the need to augment the implementation of a number of short and long-term management actions outlined in the Ghana's National Fisheries Management Plan. First, the need for greater stakeholder involvement in decision-making to increase compliance with fisheries regulations is crucial. To help reach this goal, the University using its Center for Coastal Management and Development of Fish and Department of Fisheries and Aquatic Sciences has assisted in fostering appropriate collaborative management arrangement through relevant professional trainings, applied research, and proactive engagement of coastal communities. It has also supported the development of fisheries sector strategies through annual conferences, stakeholder workshops, and capacity building of students at undergraduate and postgraduate levels. Ladies and gentlemen, to reduce overcapacity of the players of the fishing industry in the long run, there is also the need to ensure greater enforcement and compliance with the rules to eliminate illegal practices at all levels. To achieve this goal, the university, through its Center for Coastal Management, has trained and provided technical and logistic support to the Ministries of Fisheries and Aquaculture Development, Fisheries Enforcement Unit, Marine Police, and district assemblies, to mention a few. It is known that government faces difficulties in its efforts to reduce fleet numbers and subsidies. Nonetheless, both steps should be taken to overcome these challenges. Ladies and gentlemen, it should be noted that fishing in either the marine or freshwater bodies is associated with child trafficking. Therefore, every effort should be made to reduce child trafficking and its associated labor in the fishing industry. I am honored as the Vice Chancellor of the University of Cape Coast to be with you here today to participate in this program. I hope that time and ideas we share during this engagement will assist in making concrete and practical progress towards rebuilding Ghana's fish stocks. Please know that the University of Cape Coast is proud partner to all relevant stakeholders in the effort to build strong governance and enhance economic growth. I therefore use this opportunity to welcome you to this event and wish us all fruitful deliberations. On this note, I hereby declare the event open. Thank you.
Professor Johnson Yakobu-Ampon, the Vice Chancellor of the University of Cape Coast, thank you very much for your welcome address. I would also take the opportunity to call on the Director of the Center for Coastal Management, Africa Center of Excellence in Coastal Resilience, Professor Dennis Wolanyo Aheto, to spell out the purpose for this evening's gathering.
Traditional authorities present, the Vice Chancellor of the University of Cape Coast, the Registrar of the University of Cape Coast, scientists from academia and research institutions, practitioners of the fisheries in the fisheries industry, government officials, members of the civil society, members of the press, viewers and other stakeholders monitoring the program online, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good evening. The upcoming national elections offer an opportunity to highlight the critical challenges the fishery and coastal sectors as a whole is facing and educate the public more fully about this emerging crisis. Indeed, there is the need to advocate for high-level political commitments to reform the sector if it is to grow economically, increase production, contribute to national food security and food supply, and reduce the need for imports, as well as contribute to reducing poverty in fishing communities. The Center for Coastal Management of the University of Cape Coast, in partnership with academia, research institutions, and industry practitioners, is organizing this maiden event, as the Vice Chancellor mentioned, on fisheries and coastal management for representatives of the major political parties in Ghana to elicit from the political parties what they would do differently in light of the current challenges facing the sectors. It is noteworthy that over the last 2 decades, the fisheries sector in Ghana has seen a steep decline in output, especially in the artisanal sector and small pelagic fishery that are the people's fish and make up the largest share of local fish catch, with attendant increase in poverty in fishing communities. This decline can be ascribed to several factors, including open access to fisheries resources, IUU, that is illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing, excess capacity across industrial and artisanal fishing fleets, leading to overfishing, and the decline in fish stocks in the ocean and inland water bodies, input subsidies in the form of premixed fuel and other inputs that exacerbate overfishing, lack of participatory governance framework, inadequate institutional capacity at the central level of government, failure of existing central management to effectively implement sufficient management actions to prevent overfishing, and lastly, lack of transparency in vessel licensing and fines levied on infractions of fisheries regulations. Reversing the trend of fish stock depletion to support livelihoods and socioeconomic activities of present and future generations requires bold and immediate management actions. In relation to the coastal sector, sand-winning activities, pollution, haphazard coastal developments, and offshore oil and gas exploration activities have reduced the potential to optimize on the benefits that coastal and marine resources of Ghana provide. This national dialogue, therefore, is needed at this time to discuss the identified key issues that are needed to be addressed in order to rebuild the depleted fish stocks and move the sectors towards sustainability and profitability. I wish to, on this note, extend my best wishes to all the political parties in their deliberations. Thank you very much.
So because of COVID-19, of course, we just have to manage with this. But I have been prompted that I have the singular privilege to be taking off my mask. You don't have it, so you don't have to take yours off, unless, of course, you get the opportunity to speak here. But this is the primary reason for our presence here this evening, is to engage with the political parties. And the arrangement you see, as we have done with this, the seating arrangement of the political parties, in alphabetical order. So we deliberately had to do that, so we know that from A we are going to B. There is no B political party in Ghana, so we move to C. All right, so if the representative of the APC is here, the presentation is going to go in that order. Every political party that is represented here from these 5 main political parties is going to have 5-minute opportunity to make a presentation. And this presentation is basically for us to have an understanding of what the political parties think are the problems bedeviling the fisheries sector. So 5 minutes, and then we take the microphone. We would also have time for questions and answers, where I will be asking a number of questions. And these questions are from industry, from fishers, from fishing associations and other groupings in the country. Before I welcome the political party representative, please indulge me to introduce these associations that are already here. We have the representatives of the Canoe Owners Association. If you are here, you just raise up your hand. That is the Canoe Fishermen Council, their representatives. Thank you very much, Mr. Abaka. We have representatives from NAFTA. Thank you. So as and when we have the representatives coming in, we'll have the opportunity to acknowledge all of you. And our online audience at the right time would also be engaging with all your questions. So keep on writing and the perspective of the conversation that we'll be having here. For the APC, that is the All People's Congress, we'll have Mr. Mordecai Thiombiano. If Mr. Thiombiano is here, it's your time to make the presentation. Okay, so we're going to skip that when he joins us to make his presentation. From the Convention People's Party, we have Nana Frimpoma, who is the chairperson. Is Nana Frimpoma here? Okay, so I've just been prompted. CPP will be represented by Mr. Ose Kofi Akwa. Mr. Ose Kofi Akwa is a national youth organizer. Mr. Akwa, are you here? Okay, please let's invite him with a hand of applause as he delivers the stance of CPP on the fisheries sector in Ghana and their understanding of what the problems may be and the possible solutions. So, sir, you have 5 minutes to make your presentation.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, Madam Speaker. First of all, I bring you greetings from the Convention People's Party. Our manifesto is still being prepared, but we still have a set of it, so we are going to share with you. It's the real People's Manifesto. It was done in consultation with the people from the very grassroots of Ghana. And so I promise you it's going to be one that is problem solving instead of lamenting. The Convention People's Party believe that agriculture is the backbone of our economy. And if given the needed attention, we as a country can do very well instead of focusing on other sectors of the economy where most of the money and most of the income we get are repatriated by people who are not from this country. After all, everybody is from a family who owns a patch of land and a parcel of a farmland. And so if we pay attention to the agricultural sector, we will all do well as a country. The Convention People's Party believe in aquaculture, and it is sad that as a country surrounded by a lot of river bodies, lakes and lagoons, we still lack when it comes to access to seafood. It's so sad that countries like Dubai, which is made up of deserts, still have access to seafood than a country like Ghana, full of lagoons and lakes. Indeed, we've seen what Galamsey has done to most of our river bodies. So yes, the Convention People's Party has taken notice of illegal mining and what it has done to our river bodies. Growing up, we saw River Cobra, we saw Bream, we saw Offane and all that. Today, they are nothing to write home about. So the Convention People's Party is going to take the fight to protect our river bodies very, very serious. The second one is the infiltration of our water bodies, especially by our seashore, by foreigners. I mean, we've seen Chinese and other foreign vessels patrolling our river bodies, I mean, our seas, and then engaging in all sorts of illegal activities. We are going to make sure that we protect our territorial waters, to make sure that it's accessible to only Ghanaians. Again, we have a lot of Ghanaians fronting for most foreigners when it comes to fishing and all that. We are going to make sure that this thing stops. We are going to make sure that we revive the Tema shipyard. Most of the time, we talk about premise fuel and all that. What about the canoes that is used for the fishing? How do we make sure that we produce them locally? That is what the Convention People's Party is going to look at. Again, we are going to make sure that the fishermen have access to soft loans with very, very low interest rates, so that at the end of the day, they can have access to most of the things they want to, the tools they want to buy for fishing and all that. We are going to mitigate the pollution of our water bodies to make sure that at the end of the day, we fight Galamsey to retain and make sure that our river bodies, the Bream, the Ancobra, and all the river bodies that used to supply us fishes, locally fishes, I made sure that at the end of the day, we make sure these river bodies are back on track, and at the end of the day, we can have access to good fish produced locally. Thank you. I think when it goes to question and answers, yes, we'll do more.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Mr. Ose Kofi Akwa, you may kindly take your seat. He is the National Youth Organizer of the CPP. We would also take the opportunity to welcome the representative of the National Democratic Congress, NDC, Honorable Sherry Aite. Honorable Sherry Aite is the former Minister of Fisheries and Aquaculture Development. Please let's invite her as she makes a representation. 5-minute presentation for the political party NDC, articulating what their understanding of the problems in the fishery sector is and possible solutions.
Good evening, Vice Chancellor, the staff of University of Cape Coast and the University of Science and Technology, and members of political parties and stakeholders, associations. On behalf of the flag bearer of the National Democratic Congress, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, and the party, I bring you greetings, and we are quite happy to be here because we believe that fisheries actually can contribute a lot of resources to our economy. And as has been outlined, we still face tremendous problems in the sector. For an NDC manifesto, our manifesto, as we call it, is people-centered, the People's Manifesto. So the first thing we will do is we will organize a stakeholders meeting with all the associations, bodies within the sector so that we can deliberate on the new approach. And the new approach will be, the first priority will be to take a critical look at the Fisheries Act of 2000. The Fisheries Act is 17 years old, and fishing has changed because at the time that we were doing fishing, it was merely artisanal fishing. Now we have industrial, vessels, plowing our waters. So the first thing it will be with the stakeholders, we'll take a critical look at our Fisheries Act and then review the Act to make the Act more practical, both for artisanal and the industrial fishing. Then we will also look at the college in Cape Coast. The NDC was trying to put up a fisheries college in Anumabo, and I think it is at a standstill. We're working in collaboration with the University of Cape Coast, and I think that this project needs to be revived. Since the Vice Chancellor is here, it is very important that we complete the Fisheries College at the University of Cape at Anumabo, so that we can train, people in the fishing industry, both marine and then aquaculture. And then we also look at the number of vessels in our coastal waters. Ghana, we have 500 kilometers from Lome to Elubu. And from our, economic waters, we have more. We have a lot of vessels within our waters. And if we have to take the stock, we will see that we have so many vessels chasing after very little, fish in the sea. So we are going to take a critical assessment of the industrial vessels in our waters. We are also going to look at the license. And when we do that, we will also take another look at the type of vessels that needs to be in our waters. Then the important thing we're going to do is to purchase a research vessel. Because if you don't have a research vessels, you cannot, all that we talk about, they are speculations. But if we have a research vessel, we'll be able to identify areas that we can close to fishing to allow, the pelagia to grow. So we need a research vessel, and we're going to collaborate with our foreign partners to assist us to buy one. We will invest a lot of money in aquaculture because there's a need to diversify fishing. We're still importing a lot of fish. We have a lot of water bodies. The Volta Lake is there, and it can supplement about 50% of our protein intake. So we're going to invest a lot of money into aquaculture. There'll be youth employment, and then we will also support the production of our own fingerlings. Then we will make sure that we will try and control illegal fishing, what popularly is called cycle, to encourage that right fishing net is used on our seas, and then we will empower the Navy and then get them the necessary tools to monitor and enforce the laws. We will also add the coastal guards. It's a new thing that we'll be introducing so that we can do better monitoring in the ocean. So thank you so much. As Madam is standing here, I know that my time is up.
Thank you. Thank you. Honorable Sherry Ayete, thank you very much for articulating the stance of NDC on what they perceive to be the problems in the fishery sector and possible solutions. We'll have the opportunity to analyze in its granular details what these mean for us as a country and for the fishery sector. We also have Honorable Atu Kujo, the Deputy Minister of Fisheries, that is Food, and that Fisheries and Aquaculture, who will be speaking the stance of the NPP on the problems that is bedeviling the fisheries sector. Please let's welcome him with a hand of applause. Honorable, you have 5 minutes. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Vice Chancellor and staff of the University of Cape Coast, political party representative, fishers, fellow Ghanaians. For us, our understanding of the fisheries is that we are faced with a heavy declined fishery stock, especially of the pelagic stock and other targeted fishes that are normally fished by our people. And this has been the result of unreported, unregulated activities and also of overfishing and overcapacity. As a result, our fish production has generally remained stable for the past 7 years, around 400 and 470. Ghana is a country that consumes a lot of fish, and so we have had to supplement our fish production with imports of fish into the country. The government of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, since taking over, had taken a lot of measures to address this gap and to halt the decline. Our programs that we have run so far have been under 3 thematic areas. First, our goal was to revamp fisheries by transforming the infrastructure component of our fishing industry. And this design, we are constructing a number of landing sites to be a safe berth for our canoes and also provide a very good ground for fishes that are being offloaded for our consumption. The president of Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo today is constructing 12 landing sites. Recently, we added Ekumfi and Osu. And 2 harbors, one at Jamestown and the other one at Elmina. And I must say that no government since independence has invested so much in the artisanal sector like the administration of Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Now, in addressing the physical infrastructure challenge as well, we have rehabilitated public hatcheries at Kono Dumasi, Ashama, Via, and Akosombo. These hatcheries have been rehabilitated to make sure that we provide the right fingerlings for fish farmers. Also, to address this issue, the second thematic area in addressing the gap is aquaculture production development. We have invested so much in aquaculture development. We introduced a program called Aquaculture for Food and Jobs, which were piloted, but we started the rollout, especially this year. And as I'm speaking to you, we have constructed ponds in about 108 ponds, 11 cages in 13 regions of Ghana, and 25 institutions across the country, including the Jamestown Prison Camp, the Cape Coast Ankafo Prison Camp, the Sekedi Prison Camp, where we are training the Ghanaian youth in the various aspects of aquaculture value chain. We have, to address IEU, we have introduced a number of measures to address enforcement, including the procurement of patrol boats for the Ghana Navy and the Marine Police. We have introduced an observer mission to ensure that our fishing expeditions are patrolled, as well as introduce biometric canoe identification cards, which we intend to use in addressing the issue of overcapacity in the artisanal sector. There is also post-harvest management, where we have introduced an improved fishing processing facility called Ahoto Oven, which reduces the pH level in fish to almost 0, giving value to our women, because now they can export their fish, and because it has a longer shelf life and many others. We have done a lot of fishing input support, album motors, nets, and then premise. Today, premise is available in all the coastal communities. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable, thank you. Well, as he delivered their policy statement, I had the understanding it looks like there is no problem. A lot is being done. But I believe that when we get into the engagement, we'll have a better understanding of what an NPP administration will be doing if they are able to secure the trust of Ghanaians for election 2020. We have the People's National Convention, PNC. Mr. Bernard Mona, the chairman of the party, is here. Please let's welcome him with a hand of applause as he delivers the stance of PNC on the fisheries sector, what the problems may be for them where they sit, and the possible solutions. Sir. 5 minutes.
Honestly, if I had known that I was coming here for 5 minutes, I would have stayed in my tamale. I had to, I hope this is okay. Because I am a student of the University of Capsford, I have to salute you, and also Professor Aheto, who took the pain to personally come to my office, and Dr. Larry, and some other young lady, I think she's here. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. I recognize everyone that is here, especially my comrades from the CPP. I recognize you. For the NDC and MPP, they are the reason for which we are here. They have failed this nation for the past 28 years as far as fish and fish management of this country is concerned. Our nation, Ghana, and the fishing sector, as we all know, employs about 10% of our youth or the population of Ghana. So a sector that gives employment for over 10% of our people cannot be glossed over. Also, when you come to the protein needs of our nation, about 60% of dietary and protein needs of this country is provided by the fish stock. Indeed, well over, Ghana is ranked number 4 when it comes to tuna production in world production. It's therefore unthinkable that with all the vast fisheries sector, from ocean to what we call the freshwater bodies, Ghana is not able to harness its full potential as far as fishing is concerned. I will move straight to go and look at these issues in various issues as how the PNC will tackle them, from the ecosystem management to human resource development and human capital. We'll look at oil and gas and fishing. We will also look at the possibility of revamping the tuna sector. And above all, we will look at the policy of the trawl sector within the fishing sector. We will also look at inshore sector of the sector, and we'll look at artisanal canoes. And finally, we'll look at the aquaculture, and probably I will tell you why the Fishing Corporation was an important component of the policies that Dr. Kwame Nkrumah put in order to ensure that the fisher and fishing communities were not deprived of the full benefit of the fishing stock. Now, let me move straight to the thematic areas that I have outlined, and to say that if you come to the ecosystem, we think that it is important to employ a policy that will ensure that the international standards and trends of ecosystem approach is fully supported in Ghana. As a result, the Ramsar Convention will be revisited to see how we'll be able to ensure local incorporation that will allow the full benefit of the people of Ghana in that convention. We also look at a policy to stop the reclamation of the lands from the sea, which is hampering many other development in our sector. We also know that plastic waste has become a major menace to fish production in our country, and it's important to look at how we'll be able to reduce plastic throwings into the sector. We also look at fiscal development of the coastal line, particularly that you see that all manner of buildings are sprawling out at coastal areas. They certainly interfere with fish production in our country. And of course, mining and water, you do know that mines have to do with a lot of water, and most often we just channel it into our various fish production area, which has a lot of negativity on ourselves. If you come to the human resource, it appears that the fishing sector has what I call the semi-developed skills. And because we have semi-developed skills, most of our people just go and catch fish and they do not know what and what to do. It is important that we begin to tool them, to train them, particularly those that are of semi-adult age, but are willing to participate in formal education. We should provide opportunity for them, particularly in night schools and also in afternoon sections, so that they will be able to participate in learning some rudiments that will ensure that they do not falter in the fishing production. For most of the young ones that are growing, it is important that our government will provide a free policy that will ensure that everybody within the fishing community has to attend school to understand something about fish management in our country. If you look at the tuna sector, we have already stated that Ghana is ranked number 4, and that currently we have a 50% participation of non-Ghanaians in the sector. But invariably, even the 50% of Ghanaians that are there are without the needed skills, are without the needed knowledge to be able to develop themselves and to ensure that they catch. Majority of the Ghanaians actually even front for foreigners. So at the end of the day, you realize that the law that says that 50% should be Ghanaians or non-Ghanaians, eventually you may have about 98% participation of non-Ghanaians, with Ghanaians fronting for the other international persons. It is important to look at it. Given that tuna in particular plays a very important role in our economy, ranked number 4 in the world, it will be important that the University of Cape Coast will adapt or strategize to ensure that we have a faculty responsible for tuna. Or maybe the Maritime University will ensure that we have a faculty responsible for tuna. I say this because when you do that, then we'll be able to provide the basis to ensure that tuna is treated as the cocoa of the fishing sector. Cocoa is for the other crops, and tuna should serve as our cocoa. Provide all the needed support that we give to the cocoa farmers, provide it to the tuna harvesters, and I'm sure that this will go a long way to ensure that Ghana will move from number 4 to probably number 1 in the world, because we have the capacity to do so. Thank you.
Mr. Bernard Mona, thank you very much. I just want to give the second opportunity, if Mr. Mordecai Thombiano is here for the APC, he makes his presentation before we move on to the next session. Okay, so I guess the political parties will now have some time, about 25 minutes, to articulate further some of the problems that they have already enumerated here. Madam Sherry Aite, I think your presentation mainly touched on why your manifesto is called the People's Manifesto. We could give you the opportunity to further still possibly clarify in the fisheries sector what the NDC manifesto captured regarding cycle. You have mentioned the issue of cycle, you have mentioned fronting, you have mentioned the issue of the licensing regime. What did your manifesto say?
Yeah, thank you very much. The reason why we believe that we call our manifesto people-centered manifesto is fisheries. You know, fishing has been with us for many years. We have a very long coastal stretch, and we started with artisanal. Our forefathers were doing artisanal fishing. Then we introduced industrial fishing vessels. But then, as mentioned, the industry, comprises about 10% of our population. And we must make sure that we engage, the artisanal leadership in any fishery management that we are going to take. I mean, fishing itself is very scientific and complex. So we must bring on board all the various stakeholders to allow us to brainstorm, to come out. And I believe that the Fisheries Act that is in operation now, it's 17 years old. At the time that this act was promulgated, we don't have so many complexities in the industry. So now it is very important that we take a critical look at the act. We look at the role of artisanal fishing. We look at the role of industrial vessels and then inshore vessels, especially with focusing on the limited space that we have.
So, Madam, for the sake of time, I think I just want to understand the NDC manifesto. What did you say that you were going to do?
What we are going to do is to review the Fisheries Act. We are also going to look at the Fisheries Commission. The Fisheries Commission, we are going to make sure that we build the capacity of the Fisheries Commission. We are also going to reduce illegal, unreported fishing. We are going to support the Navy to enforce, to patrol, on our, economic borders, to make sure that foreigners, foreign vessels that come into our waters and do illegal fishing activities without licensing, we can curtail it.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. I think I will give all the representatives here a similar opportunity to respond to the same issue, just for the sake of fairness. Mr. Kofi Ose Akwa, what's your manifesto saying regarding the issues of cycle?
Well, sometimes it's amazing the way the MPP and the LDC say we are going to enforce, we are going to make sure, as if they have never been in power. They have been in power for 28 years. If this is the time you are going to empower the Navy and all that, then you've been a disappointment to Ghanaians. The Progressive People's Party believes that we have a unique water bodies inland, the lagoons, the rivers, and the lakes. Unfortunately, these water bodies have been polluted by illegal mining. And if we have to pay special attention to make sure that these river bodies which have been polluted are returned to normalcy, then our fishing industry can boost. We can find tilapia in the sea, but we enjoy a lot of tilapia in this country. I quite remember while someone was on my campaign trail to secure my bid for the National Youth Organization. I stopped by Western Region and I was invited to dinner by my Western Regional chairman. I still can feel that, what's the name of the food? This Gary food, what do you call it? Acheke, in my mouth, with tilapia. Very delicious, from Cobra River. And it's so sad that, look at us. A lot of children are walking malnourished with koshoko and all that. And we have these river bodies. So what we are going to do is to fight galamsey. It's not this, I'm putting my government on the line whilst party members and executives are doing galamsey. We are going to fight galamsey head on and to make sure that our river bodies are returned to normalcy.
How are you going to fight cycle? What are your strategies?
Well, what we're going to do is to form community task force to make sure that these people, first of all, secure their own water bodies. I mean, these galamseys are done in small towns and villages where sometimes it's even difficult for the police to have access to those areas. If you have community task force who are in those villages tipping off police about illegal galamseys, illegal mining, and all those things going on, I think that our government can move in to kind of support them to make sure that the fight against that illegal mining is very successful.
So if we talk possibly the understanding of cycle, maybe that is what you are articulating on land. But how would you fight, cycle, illegal fishing, if you form community watchdogs, in the communities? How are you going to do that?
These illegal activities need to be reported. And unless you are told about somebody engaging in that, it's difficult to know. Just like my brother Bernard Mona said, the Navy normally deals with our territorial bodies when it comes to our rivers and then the sea. We're going to show that we equip them very well to make sure the fight against those illegal fishing is kept.
Thank you. Honorable Atukujo, your administration inherited from the NDC administration the Fisheries Management Plan from 2015, which expired in 2019. There still seem to be a lot of outstanding works to be done regarding the vessels that are in our waters, on the issue of cycle, on the issue of the licensing regime. Going forward, and the NPP strategy in fighting cycle, what would you be doing differently from what you've done?
Thank you very much, Madam. When we talk about cycle is just a situation of bycatch. Bycatch is allowed everywhere. That is, you throw in your net and then you catch fishes which are not your targeted fish. Unfortunately, in our situation, we have a voluminous catch of this bycatch, and which means that normally it goes overboard the 15% that is legally acceptable within our laws. Now, once you have the volumes of cash, then it simply means that there's a market for it. Because over here in Ghana, we eat everything. And if we go by the law, when these excesses are caught, they should be thrown back into the sea. Because if you land them, there will be penalty. And so people have tried to develop illegal business around it. First of all, there's transshipment involved, which is illegal. And of course, buying of the fish, bycatch or undersized fishes which are caught in excesses is also not appropriate. We have done a couple of things, and I must say that the MPP administration is the only government that ever once stopped cycle for a whole year. But the problem that everybody fail to see is that there are two major things that always create the problem of managing issues in Ghana. Recently, there was discussion of Okada. Okada was banned by the NDC, but people still do Okada.
So, Honorable, let me quickly intervene here. Going forward, what different strategies would you be adopting?
What we have done is that, first of all, we want to address the issue of the voluminous bycatch. We set up gear audit team that went to audit the gears. They also did audit on the land. So we checked the opening of the gears, we checked the mesh size, we checked the codent. And so we have come out to understand that some of the gears are about 40 meters when they are supposed to fish within 30 meters. And so we are currently reviewing the law, the Fisheries Management Act of 2002. We have the document before Cabinet. Not the law itself, but we are asking approval from Cabinet to do those amendments, changes. We are bringing gear. We have brought gear technologies which are helping us to develop the gear specifications that will be codified in the Act, so that eventually we are telling you what size nest mesh you have to use, the height, and then the codent. This, we believe, will reduce the incidence of excessive and voluminous bycatch. Beyond that, we have also recently gotten approval from Cabinet to implement a co-management policy. Professor Ito, when you were talk about participation governance system, which is absent in our system. But the good news is that now we have a co-management policy, which we are trying to implement. But this will also be coded in the new Fisheries Act to ensure that management of fisheries is transferred to regional bodies, to coastal bodies, to communities, even down there, so that they themselves, the communities themselves will be participating in deciding what happens in the coastal areas. This will ensure that the communities can assist us, because the major problem of cycle is not that government is not willing to fight, but whether the people are actually prepared to follow the law.
Honorable, I don't know which people you are talking about. We seem to have industrial vessels, the number of industrial vessels in our waters soaring, almost every time. And in as much as we don't seem to be working a lot in capping this number, your administration has had the opportunity to be working with these fishers quite closely. If you go to the beach of Apam, if you go to the beach of Elmina, cycle is quite rife. And they will tell you that their activities are not clandestine in any way. At least for the presentation you made, you have walked us through the processes that there is the market. At the market level, what would you be doing?
Madam, first of all, let me tell you that the numbers, the trawler numbers, the vessel numbers are not increasing rampantly. Indeed, in 2011-2012, NDC signed a WAF project with World Bank, where they had indicated that the trawler numbers were 67, and we're going to reduce it to 48. However, after 2 years, the trawler numbers was about 95. By the time we took over, the trawler numbers were 104. We have reduced trawler numbers from 104 to 73. We have reduced tuna numbers from 37 to 29. We have reduced inshore vessel numbers at the time NDC left office of 401 to 270.
Mr.
So we have reduced capacity.
if we look at the observers that are supposed to be on these industrial trawlers to observe the activities, these observers are paid by GITA, the Ghana Industrial Trawlers Association, and you're saying you're fighting cycle. Going forward, what, can you itemize some of the measures that your NPP administration, not what you have done, but what you will be doing?
So what I'm saying is that the key thing is to address the voluminous excess catch, and that is reduce the net opening. If you, let me give you a scenario. If the net is 40 meters and you are shipping 30-meter water, it means that when you open the net, you are even going to catch a flying bird. So you reduce the net opening to 10, which means that a lot of pelagic fishes will be safe. You also improve the mesh size, because some of them are using very 1 inch and all others to do fishing, and this is what we want to change. The quadrant should be open enough so that the small fishes can just go out of the way when they are caught.
Thank you.
In that way, you reduce the incidence of voluminous catch. There won't be any extra catch for people to take their canoes and go to sea and buy.
All right.
So if the business is not there, people will not go.
Thank you very much.
In the long term, what we are doing is that we are putting up a fishing harbour around Elimina, so that if it's a fish that they want, the vessels can land there and then they will buy them.
Thank you. Mr. Bernard Mona, let's have the stance of your administration and some of the strategies that you'll be adopting to fight cycle.
Well, I think that this has to do largely with particularly what we call the GIA, which in effect is the net size that we are talking about, which allows smaller fishes to be caught. So what you do is that you regulate the system to ensure a selective GIA system is in place. You will also ensure that this selective GIA system will allow bigger fishes to be caught and that smaller fishes will not be caught. As a policy, you will have to ensure that you criminalize the catching and selling of the smaller fishes, and that anybody that is found will suffer the punitiveness of our laws. Once you introduce such punitive actions, you will be able to control the cycle that we find within our society. But more importantly, it is for us as a people to enhance education within our fisher folks. And I have said that most of our fisher folks are semi-skilled. Their knowledge of what to do and what not to do is partly compounding the problems that we have. So once we are able to intensify education around the fisher folks and the fishers in particular, we will be able to educate them. They themselves will know what to do and what not to do. In the absence of education around the coastline, is partly responsible for the many smaller fishes that we are catching, which at the end of the day, because we are restricting their sale in the market, we keep them for long. You throw them and then you see that majority of them will die. So we are depleting the fish stock because we cannot sell. And where illegal sales too are done, you have a very poor patrol system within our nation. And that is why it's so nauseating to sit here to be listening to political parties that have had the opportunity to lead this country for 28 years, telling us that this is what they want to do, this is what they want to do. The time that they have had, what did they use it for?
Thank you very much. Okay, so I think there will be time for that response, Mr. Tu. Okay.
Yeah, one other thing that in discussion with stakeholders, we have all agreed to do going forward, and this is actually also part of the new legislation that we're going to do, is to introduce trawling hours. As sitters, trawlers can decide to trawl any hours that they want, but we are going to introduce trawling hours, or if you like, trawling days. Number of days you can be on the sea to trawl, a number of hours you can trawl per time. And so all these things will come into the new legislation to ensure that trawling time is curtailed, and so not much excess fishes are caught.
Thank you very much. Mr. Bernard Mona, let me just begin this round of questions with you to understand your perspective of the fronting system. It is believed that there are a lot of, Ghanaian indigenes who are fronting for foreign trawlers, so that if a particular trawl vessel belongs to a Chinese corporation, it is flagging, or it is on Ghana's flag, and so everybody believes that this is for a Ghanaian owner. But we know that the beneficiaries are Chinese owners. In your administration, if you happen to come to power, what would you be doing about this fronting system?
Maybe 3 or 4 issues to mention here. One is that many Ghanaians are unable to own these trawlers. The capacity to contract loans and the high interest rates, it ensuring that majority of Ghanaians are unable to own these trawlers. So what you should do as a government is that you enable a credit scheme that will allow people to take loans, probably at 0 interest rates, to be able to purchase these trawlers so that they can own them. 2, is for central government itself to participate, bring in these trawlers, identify the communities and the fishers that are in need of these ones. Once you hand over to them and then they will work to pay in a manner, then you are certain that these people will be able to own the facility. If you go to most of these Asian countries, you will notice that when they are able to secure entry into a particular country, their government is able to provide them with credit facility at 0 interest rate. You, the Ghanaian, will go out there in search of capital or credit, and you cannot find it. Our Agric Development Bank has suddenly become a trade and industry bank. If you cannot go and sell, if you cannot go and do any trade, they will not give you any loans because they think that they are running a risk. And these days we have seen that Agric Development Bank, that is supposed to ensure the promotion of agric, including our fisheries, has run away from that mandate. Why? Because they want to become competitive in the banking sector, failing their major mandate. It is important for government, which is the greater shareholder, to retool Agric Development Bank to concentrate on providing credit for farmers, particularly the fishers, so that they'll be able to get enough cash to be able to own this. The other important thing that we must know is that when you own a company, and we have this veil that we fail to lift. So people can go and create companies because of fear of intimidation and victimization. You say that they should not disclose the identity of the company. So anybody can come and register a company, go and put a Ghana flag on it, maybe just put a few Ghanaians on, and then you have the foreigners regulating and managing. At the end of the day, the stock is catch, and then they take it away. So if you have a system that is not suitable, not enhancing local participation, you will have Ghanaians always fronting, because if I can get 1%, it's better than getting 0%. So they will front, and then they will get their little, and then the bulk will go outside of the country. And I think that it is important for us, and the PNC will ensure the revamping of the Agric Development Bank, will ensure the availability of credit, will also ensure that we are able to streamline to ensure that those who are fronting are actually surcharged. And once we begin to take them through the legal regimes and people get to know that fronting is a hazard to our national development, they will quickly run away to find a way that we will be able to promote fish production locally and its ownership.
Mr. Akwa, what will your administration be doing about the fronting system?
Well, let's all agree that these fishermen are businessmen. And so if they have a Chinese or a white man approaching them to say, front for me and let's share the profit, definitely everybody will be lured into this. But then we all know the consequences. So we have to find a way to resource our local fishermen. And my comrade Benamona made mention of Agri Development Bank. Very, very, very important. I think that it is about time we recalibrate Agri Development Bank to look more into anything agriculture, crops, aqua farming, and all that, so that farmers and fishermen can have access to soft loans and other facilities without much difficulty. If this is done, the fishermen can be able to stand on their own, and then be able to be independent as it is. Because some of these white people who these fishermen front for, they go through much pressure because they need to make revenue to be able to satisfy their paymasters or their sponsors. So there should be more outlets, more banks willing to assist the fishermen to access loans and other facilities to make sure their work becomes a bit easier if they want to access those loans.
Thank you. Madam Sherry Ayite, we want to also have your stance on this fronting regime. What do you think is the problem with the fronting regime now, and what would your administration be doing about it?
Thank you very much. But before I answer this question, there are two things that I want to set the record straight. Fishing didn't start 28 years ago. I mean, at least if you take independence, we've been independent for 60 years. And even before colonial times, people were fishing. And when we attained independence, we had CPP, we had MPP, they used to be a Progress Party. We had PNC on Excellency, the late Liman, PMPA. Yeah, okay. I mean, they fragmented. So the CPP had fragmented. So you could say that what we're talking about is a national issue. It has nothing about political administration. When the British were here, we were fishing. When we attained independence, we were fishing on the various governments. So let's stay focused and let's see how we're going to save the industry. The next one I want to correct my, deputy minister is on tuna, that we don't control tuna. Tuna is controlled by an international body. And countries, you are given a certain quota and you operate within that quota. We cannot say that you are going to reduce the tuna vessels. No. We are members of ICAT, the International Tuna Association, and every country is given a quota, and the quota is the number. You have to go through a certain process, and then you get a number of tuna vessels that you can operate with. If you exceed it, you are blacklisted. So we never increased our tuna vessels on the National Democratic Congress. We operated strictly within the ICAT regulation. Okay, so this is just to set the standards straight so that we go on with our discussion. What we want to know, those are foreign operators within the fishing industry. All fishing vessels must be registered, and all the licensing regime, we must know the technical people who operate on every vessel. Every vessel has to be insured. And then we must also make sure that they comply with the investment code, under the Ghana Investment Center. Because it tells you that if you're operating with a certain percentage of foreign nationals, they must bring, at least they must put down some fixed deposits in foreign money within our banks. It has to be put within Bank of Ghana. But invariably, as we are all talking about, poor enforcement of the licensing regime. We don't enforce it because if you enforce the licensing regime, any license that you issue, the owner will have to tell you the operators, the owners, the Ghanaian partners, and the foreign partners. And then the Ghanaian partners must show how much money they have put into it. And then the foreign partners too will also show how much money they have brought. And you can do this by monitoring who and who is doing what.
Madam Sherry Ayite, we have the 2019 Companies Act 992. Yeah. Does that solve the problem for you? in this fronting system?
See, Madam, we have various, we have various acts. We have various laws, but it takes, the capacity of, strong leadership to implement, to enforce the act. If you come to the fisheries sector, especially we're talking about, we have the Fisheries Act that regulates artisanal fishing. But, I'm sorry to say that when the new administration came, they put that act aside. And they came out with their own practical way of doing things.
But the NPP was implementing the fisheries management plan, at least for close season. For close season, the NPP implemented that.
Please, we started the close season. We worked with, because the EU blacklisted us because we overfished in our waters. So we had to negotiate with the EU to allow us to export our tuna to the European market. So we had to come with some kind of guidelines. And one of them was operating a closed season for industrial vessels, for tuna vessels.
But you can't, but what I'm saying is you can't take it from the NPP that they implemented at least a closed season.
We started implementing the closed season.
Which year was that?
And when I was Minister of Fisheries, 2016, we started. We started. I negotiated with the EU, how to, put Ghana back on the tuna market in the European, in Europe, to export tuna to Europe, because for about 2 years we were not exporting. So we started the closed season, and we came out with the guidelines, for industrial vessels, tuna vessels, and then we started with the operation. So when it comes to foreign participation, we have the investment code, then we have the Fisheries Commission that also regulates the activities of foreign vessels in our waters. But invariably, we have to improve, on enforcement of our own laws. And then the important thing is also monitoring. Because you have to scientifically monitor who is in your waters and what the person is doing, because that is why we use the Navy most of the time, because now we don't have the coastal guards. So we use the Navy, and then they can board your vessel and inspect your documentation. So if we want to go ahead, then it means that we have to improve the enforcement regime.
Okay, thank you very much. Honorable Ato Forson Akujo, I think I haven't given you the opportunity to respond to this issue on the fronting.
Since he took the delight to rebut, it's important to restate that at our independence and the struggles that were maintained, Ghanaians were supported to own their own fishing vessels, including the ocean fisheries, the Mwakwadi fisheries, and all that. When they owned these fisheries vessels, it enabled Ghanaians to have full control. There was no fronting at the time. If government subsequently, particularly in the Fourth Republican dispensation, failed to support Ghanaians to own vessels, it should be a concern to us that the NDC and MPP that have had the opportunity to rule this country for the past 28 years have failed to support Ghanaians to own vessels. This should be the failing of our government, and they should own up to that.
So
why are they running away from it?
Mr. Bernard Mona, you know that this platform is looking forward. Going forward, what are you going to do? Not what they have.
I didn't go back to when fishing started. Indeed, fishing started.
Would you kindly end there? I think it's for the general public to make their conclusion. Mr. Ato Kujo, I'll give you the opportunity to make your remarks on the fronting regime.
For me, as business person and as finance person, I don't think that it is actually wrong to say that we have foreigners participating in our fisheries. In all sectors of the economy, we have foreigners participating. The question which has worried us and worried many experts is how much of this benefit has come to us as a country. What do we get from this foreign participation? And so that is the question that had we have tried to answer somehow, and I think that Madam in her very open remarks said that we have increased licensing fee by over 200%. We understood that the fishing, which is a natural resource God has given Ghana, is being exploited by foreigners. They are benefiting. And in most cases, the agreement they have with the local partners is so unfavorable that very little come to us as a country. So the best thing we can do is to have a licensing regime that is, if you like, punitive enough and ensure that some of the profit gets back to the country. And so that is one reason for having raising the fee as much as it is. However, we, in our mining sector, we have foreigners participating. In the oil sector, foreigners are participating. In various areas of our foreigners are participating. But like I said, the question is how much that eventually comes to you.
So, sir, you are saying that the solution to fronting is increasing the licensing fees.
I am not saying the solution is increasing licenses. I'm saying that, first of all, whatever venture you have foreigners participating. The question should be how much of that comes to you. Now, what we are doing to address the fronting issue is that we have requested for, mostly they tell you that they have hire purchase agreement with the foreign partner, and so the hire purchase agreement runs for 10 years or for 8 years. So since about 2 years back, we have requested for the hire purchase agreement. And so we have all these already signed licenses and the hire purchase agreement that we are counting. So if it says 8 years, and after 8 years the hire purchase is supposed to expire, we expect that the vessel ownership will revert to you, the Ghanaian, 100%. And at that time, if it doesn't, then we can actually ask you, because now we want to make sure that we are giving the space to our people to also benefit. So if you come and tell government that, okay, we want this license, this vessel to be licensed, and we have procured an hire purchase agreement, well, we take the hire purchase agreement, go ahead and make your payment, and let's have it. But I want Madam to know that, yes, NDC, she said right, started close season November 2016, they did the first close season. But we came in and quickly, February 2017, we did another close season for 1 month, just as they did 1 month. But since then, 2018, we did February, March, 2 months for industrial trawlers. And 2019, for the first time, we added the artisanal. So now the tuners observe close season, the trawlers observe close season, the artisanal observe close season. It's only that this year, because of the COVID, for some good reason, we decided to suspend the implementation of the close season, and we hope that by next year things will return to normalcy and we can go back to implement that.
Thank you very much. Mr. Akwa, let's just attend to this very important line of question, then we'll give the attention to our audience also to respond to some of the concerns that they may have. Coastline tourism is a major industry in many island states and coastal countries across the world. What plans would your administration, or do you have to promoting ecotourism in the country if you get the opportunity to come to power?
First of all, let's go back a bit. Madam Shirley made a statement which we all have to kind of respond to. In 1964, the PH's Tema Shipyard Limited was established by the government of Ghana under the Convention Proposed Party and the leadership of Osagyefo Tutu Kwame Nkrumah, who were to build and engage in vessel, building and production and all that. I mean, 28 years, it has been abandoned. As we speak now, it is sitting on about 48.45 acre land, right here at Tema, and it's facing the Tema Harbor. So let's deal with the issue as it is. Fronting these days has become very complex to the extent that the people who are being fronted for, the people sponsoring, don't even get themselves involved when it comes to establishment of companies. You don't know them. The Ghanaians come in, they register the company in their name and everything, and you think it's a Ghanaian owning them. But then behind the closed door, there's a deal going on there where the white man is the one they are working for. So the act, if we dwell on the act, the company act, is not going to do anything. Let's make sure that we resource our local fishermen. We can have government leasing these vessels to the local fishermen to work so that they can pay back to government. We can do that through ADB and other facilities.
I thought I gave you the opportunity to make your submission on that. So yes, now we are talking about...
important. I have to go back and then bring that in. So promoting... Ecotourism
in the coastal communities.
We have fine beaches, very, very nice one. But unfortunately for us, it's been polluted. The year of return saw a lot of foreigners coming in, going around the beaches and all that. It was very, very beautiful. So to promote that, first of all, we have to first keep our beaches very clean. Secondly, we have to make sure that our river bodies are returned to normalcy. Very, very, very important. If we do this, I'm sure we can promote this tourism that we are looking for.
Madam Shariat, I'll give you the opportunity also to make a statement regarding ecotourism.
Yeah, thank you very much. Under the National Democratic Congress, we implemented the coastal development program, and we realized that the coastline of Ghana has suffered tremendous erosion. So we started engaging the communities to plant coconut trees, along the coastal line to, reduce, coastal erosion. So I think that is the first. And now you could see that the sea is actually eating very, very, very fast into the coastal line. So we took advantage and then engaged the communities to plant lots of coconut trees to reduce coastal erosion. I think that ecotourism is very good, but then we have to look at the way we manage our land tenure system, because here in Ghana we have almost all our villages, right at the edge of the sea. So in an NDC government, we will do coastal restoration. And coastal restoration, we started when we engaged the communities to start, planting trees and coconut varieties along the coast, and also to manage the sanitation, because poor sanitation at our beaches also does not promote, ecotourism. So it is important that we invest money in improving the standard of living of our coastal communities, which we did, and also to improve on various sanitary conditions. And I think that that will go a long way to improve coastal, ecotourism, which is very important for our coastline. Thank you.
Mr. Bernard Mona, your take.
Well, I think that coastline tourism is not a fishing activity. However, what we have done is that we have destroyed and polluted our coastlines so much that they don't become, or they are not attractive. It is important to see how we'll be able to depollute the coastlines to ensure that we are able to revamp it. Indeed, when you go to countries like Zanzibar, I say countries, when you go to towns like Zanzibar, because it used to be a country anyway, and you see the activities that they use, they have fortified canoes that they use to do whaling. They go into the sea, and I have been there a number of times. You just go and you use water. Zanzibar is largely a waterlogged area, and you use the ocean. You go there and you see a lot of tourist activities just going into it. Our system has not been developed. You have a system where we have a lot of water surrounding us. We have the sea around, and it appears that we have not developed the coastline tourism in a manner that will attract other people to come and visit and to patrol to see what we have.
So what would your administration do?
That is exactly the point I'm making. That one, depollute the coastlines. Two, ensure that they are furnished, or you put persons that will be able to manage the coastline. Above all, you should ensure fortified security around the coastlines. Tourists come and mostly they attack, their things are stolen. They don't want to go there. If you have vessels that are fortified and that people can go and move from one end of our coast to the other to see the beauty of our oceans, I'm sure that it will go a long way to ensure that coast tourism is improved in our nation.
Thank you. Honorable Atukujo, is this an area that an NPP administration will be looking at?
Yeah, let me just say that even the way, just here in Accra, we're doing the Marine Drive, which is developing the ocean area around the former castle to make it a very attractive tourist destination. But I agree with all speakers. I think the major problem we have is the pollution of the oceans and the coastline. Unfortunately, in Ghana, most of the major, I don't know what all the communities, I can say all the communities. You go there and the refuse area is just by the ocean. I grew up in, I don't want to offend anybody, but I grew up in one community. There's a big wall, like, if you go there today, it's there, and it washes into the ocean. So every time the oceans are being polluted. So it doesn't become an attractive area for tourism. Most importantly, because the area is also being polluted, you see the marine life around the coastal line is much absent. If you have an area where you can just stand, see fishes, swim and all that, it might even be attractive. So I think the major challenge is trying to we must first deal with the pollution in that environment. Livelihoods generally around coastal communities have also dwindled and has also added to generally the problem of exploitation of some of the fishing communities. If you go to other areas, they are mining shells, they are doing all those things and damaging the natural coastal environment or marine environment. And so collectively, what government has to do, there has to be some interagency collaboration. For instance, fisheries, for instance, we can collaborate with sanitation environment and try and see how best we can manage the pollution menace and also protect the marine space.
Thank you very much. I guess it's time for us to engage with our audience, those who are live here and our online audience who are also sending us a number of messages. Before we do that, let me quickly acknowledge the representative of National Inland Canoe Fishermen Council. Thank you very much, sir. Please let's welcome him with a hand of applause. We also have representative of NAFAG who have joined us here. NAFAG, thank you very much. Thanks to all of you. This engagement is going to be quite brief because the representatives of the political parties will spend a lot of time to respond to your questions. And so we'll take questions from the Canoe Owners Association, the Canoe Council, NAFTA, and the other fishing representatives or groupings that are here. So would you kindly line up here so we can give you the microphone and then you ask your questions so that the political parties will have the opportunity to respond to these. These representatives, Uncle Jojo Solomon and your team, we have the Canoe Owners Association. And if you have a question bordering on any of the issues we raise, unless of course they've responded to that. If they have responded to the issue, please note, ask a question in that area. Other than that, we'll move ahead with the questions we have for these representatives. Okay, so as we have you line up to ask your question, let me quickly engage with you briefly. I guess by then we'll have these people who are ready to ask their questions. From the quarters of Mr. Akwa, at your political party, do you have any policy on encouraging research in the fisheries?
Definitely. We believe that for our fishing industry to do well, we have to spend a lot of money into research, including breeding of fingerlings and others. So yes, we do have it.
Madam Sherry Aite.
Well, fishing is all about research, and fisheries and aquaculture. by strengthening the research department at in Tema, and also acquiring a research vessel, which is very important because we have to be on the sea to know what is actually happening in the sea so that we can come out with better policies for fishing. Thank you very much. Honorable Kujo.
Okay, so we have a program to procure a fishing vessel. In fact, it has been on the budget for the past 2 years. I hear people say government must support Ghanaians to buy vessels, but sometimes I think we are oblivious of the demands on government, especially of the governments of today. And so we are hoping that in 2021 budget, which we are still have the vessel there, we'll get the release from government to be able to procure the vessel. Otherwise, we have also collaborated with the Nansen program on a couple of occasions to do research in our waters. And even when we have vessels, we'll cooperate with regional agencies like FCWC and other regional bodies to increasingly look at what we have, because you know the stocks we have are not country-specific stock, they are stock within the region, and so we need to collaborate and do collaborative research to know what is happening within our sub-region. So, Honorable Kujo, let me just have this understanding. In 2019, at the Accra Fisheries Conference, we heard from the sector minister that Ghana is collaborating with the Australian government to purchase a vessel. I remember the ambassador then, Oyvind Udland, was present. Let me know whether what you have articulated is quite different from what's already been done. So, like I'm saying, you know, budgets are for a specific period, and so when you don't get the release from government, it becomes a little bit difficult. But however, this last year, the finance minister told us to step that down and bring it in 2021 budget, and we have brought it in 2021 budget. So we are hoping that in 2021 we can have the release of funds to procure a research vessel. Thank you. Mr. Bernard Mona, on the research in the fisheries sector.
Let me say that it is our governments that are oblivious of the needs of the people, and not the people that are oblivious of the demands on government as put forward by the Deputy Minister. The people of Ghana know what they want. They vote in government to attend to what they have put forward. Government turn around to fail the people. You stated here that for the past 2 years, you have put vessel purchases on or in your budgets. You have not actualized it. You turn around to say that we don't know the demands of government. That is an attack on the conscience of the people that voted for you. Quickly, I stated in my initial presentation that we will fortify the University of Cape Coast, the Maritime University, to set up faculties responsible for fishes. Fishing is a research-led industry, and therefore we will provide commercial vessels that will ensure research, so that the professionals will be there to be able to monitor the researches. And therefore, when needed research that is needed for our fishing industry and our fishing communities, that is what the PNC will do when you vote for us in 2020. Thank you very much. Now, want to give attention to our audience to engage the representatives of these political parties. And please, all of you who have questions, would you kindly just move to the middle there? Because we wouldn't have a lot of the time for the walk. Say your name and the organization you are representing, then briefly your question.
My name is Nilante Banaman, and I speak in the capacity of somebody who has been part of our fisheries management in the last 4 years. And I would want to put on record that our licensing regime is the lowest in the sub-region, if not in the world. We are talking about licensing our vessels, getting value for our resources, and licensing is an integral part of it. Our licensing regime is the lowest in our sub-region, if not in the world. Now, I believe that most of the ills we are talking about in our fisheries sector needs to be given a more depoliticized view than we are doing now. I'll talk briefly about cycle and the close season. And let me also put on record that in our fisheries sector. Now, with cycle, and even with the close season, to even get it implemented or done in the first place, we had to go through a lot. We all remember in 2017, people were inciting the fishers not to even accept the close season.
So what's your question, sir?
Mine is not a question. I'm trying to give a contribution. And I'm trying to say that until we depoliticize some of the things that are happening in this country, we are not going to make a headway.
Thank you.
It shouldn't have to be you before it is done. If the other party has got the political will and the willpower to fight it, you need to support it. We can't always be singing and dancing around the corner and inciting people. That is the point I want to put across.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
The next person, please, quickly.
Yes. I'm Jacob Tete Ageke, representing National Inland Canoe Fishermen Council. My question to all the political parties is that all the questions being asked by our moderator is all about the coast. Looking at the Volta Lake, I would suggest to you that if we manage the Volta Lake very well, I'm sure it will take care of 25% of Ghana's needs. Talking about the island, talking about the fish in the lake. Now, I want to find out, or my question to the political parties, what are your plans for the Volta Lake? One. Number two, yes, a black picture has been painted about us fishermen on the lake, about child labor. Fishing is a profession. You have to go through it. And when the questions were being asked, or the presentations, I didn't hear about plans of child protection development on our local communities that will ensure that our young ones will be going to school, they will find other trades rather than fishing to reduce the child labor.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
And my third question.
Just let me take this opportunity. If you can, and let's do our best because our time is quite limited, to just box your question in one, and within a maximum of 45 seconds, you should be done with the question.
Thank you, madam. Why did the political parties neglect the fishing associations that have members in every community? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, the moderator. My name is Wisdom Akpalu. I'm a professor of economics and the dean of the School of Research and Graduate Studies at GIMPA. Because I'm an economist, I'll be talking to some numbers. Every single year, we lose about $200 million because we have too many vessels out there fishing. We have 14,000 canoes. We are supposed to have 9,000. We have 73 trawlers, according to the statistics, but actually they are supposed to be over 130 trawlers if we are fair to ourselves. We are supposed to have only 8 or 50 trawlers out there. Because of that, we are losing about $200 million potentially every year. Yet, we are subsidizing premixed fuel to the tune of about 200 million Ghana cedis, about $40 million every year. And only 17 or 20% thereabout of this subsidized fuel actually reach the fishermen. The rest are diverted. Why should we continue to be subsidizing premixed fuel when we have overcapacity in our fisheries? Why should we be fighting over, trying to undo the two political parties, trying to undo one another by subsidizing outboard motors about 50% when we know that we have overcapacity in our fisheries? That is my first question. And let me go quickly to the second question. We know that cycle is a problem. if only we can plant video devices, and it has been done in some countries, on those trawlers. If we spend $1, 1 Ghana cedi planting video devices and monitoring it from a distance, we will get about 21 Ghana cedis in return as benefit. Why can't we plan that as it's done in other countries?
Thank you very much, Professor Akpalu. I'm sorry the time is up. Yes, sir, quickly.
My name is Ni Aite, Kenem Owners Association Chairman, Pram. My simple question is go to Honorable Sherry Aite. During NDC time, psycho and illegal light fishing, they are there. So I want to ask Honorable, do you know that? That is my question.
Okay, Honorable, please keep that question. That's quite a personal question for you. Yes, sir.
Yes, thank you. My name is Neodato Becheblamte, and I'm a member of staff of CODA, Coastal Development Authority. My question goes to Madam Sherry Aite. In her initial comments, the first 5 minutes, she stated categorically that her party, if given the opportunity to rule from next year, will procure a research vessel. And she stated, and I quote, that they cannot do anything based on speculation. However, Madam has gone on to enumerate some problems associated with fishing in this country. My simple question, is she speculating? Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Radi Bole Bilinisi from Nungwa. I'm representing NAFTA. Please, Madam, could you permit me to go to our local
Please
dialect?
speak your local language.
My question go to my
Is that the local language?
No. But my seminal echo mommy papa honorable. But yeah, NAFTA for a ma honam. Problem bebree. A problem ni say Achakakra 5 years to 6 years ni enama adwuma ne yenya nam na enam no so afarefo no ba nsem omo ka kire ni say enam no ebi ni nsu no afi light ene ndrondro na omo de kopo no eno na ese enam na afi trawlers no nso omo so omo niema omo ye wo epono so no eno so eha adwen de eha ye bebre ni say asenka enam eni pumi imported sadneless na omo imported ba no sesi a ebi ni o kra
enti asembisa ni say ombe den na yenya bi
yedase
yedase papa. Yes, sir.
I'm Nene Tetesian, Canoe Fishermen's Council. I think this program is late in the day. That they have presented their manifestos before this program, but this thing should have been incorporated in their manifesto. Well, I just want to ask a simple question. Why do the political parties lack the will to ensure that the laws and enforcement are working before bringing out more promises?
Thank you. Are you coming from an association whose representative has already spoken?
No.
Which association are you
coming
representing?
From the National Premix 4 Secretariat.
National?
Premix 4 Secretariat.
Your name and your
My
question.
name is Nana Abroko Asari, and I'm the administrator for the National Premix 4 Secretariat. I'd like to begin by commending the University of Ghana, Cape Coast, for putting together this wonderful program. And I believe it's a forum where we can all exchange ideas and then solve the problems of the fishing industry. But I'd like to place on record, I think my earlier colleague mentioned some figures and statistics. He mentioned it from GIMPA. He would like to speak to facts and figures. But in his statement, he mentioned that only about 20% of Premix 4 gets to the fishermen. I'm wondering where he got those facts from. Because if you look at this government or this administration, we've done so well in curtailing this premix 4 diversion by introducing a lot of measures and making sure that the premix 4 gets to the right beneficiaries. If you look at the statistics so far, the Secretariat has saved government well over. I think if you look at the figures, we've been able to prudently manage these scarce resources and making sure that government is making savings on the amount of premix 4 that.
So since you are from the Secretariat, if Professor Akpalu is wrong with the figure, it's not 20%. What's the figure that
if you
is
look
being
at
diverted?
The figures, 2017, you look at the figures of diversion, we had alleged diversion close to about 200. If you look at 2019, we didn't have even a single incidence of diversion, and the records are there to show. So let's appreciate some of these efforts that government is putting in place and making sure some of these things are nipped in the bud.
Thank you very much. So you have mentioned 2017 and 2019. 2018, there was a scandal.
2017, there was a scandal. In 2017, 2018, no incidents of diversion. 2019, no incidents of diversion. Let's place that on record and appreciate the work that government is doing.
Thank you very much, sir.
If I may help.
Not now, sir, please. Let's just compile these consents. Yes, sir.
Yes, thank you. I'm Mike Abake Idu. Okay, my question is, the marine fish stock, which 10% of Ghanaian population benefit from, is at the verge of collapse. I heard from a professor when he was speaking that there is the need for the rebuilding of the stock. And I know for the stock to be rebuilt, I think the enforcement unit have to intensify their work, because the stock is there and we are harvesting it illegally. I don't think it will be sustainable for the artisanal fishery to have access or benefit from it. So, as far as there is law governing the fishery industry, and the artisanal fishery keeps on crying that the illegal transshipment, popularly known as SAICO, is as a result of their operations gradually depleting or depleting the stock at a very fast rate. In this wise, we learned from the NPP budget statement on section 708, bullet 3, that this year, 2020, SAICO will be a thing of the past, or it will halt the activities of SAICO. I wanted to ask the Deputy Minister that whilst we have identified that SAICO or illegal transshipment is a contributing factor to the depletion of the stock, is the government going to end SAICO as was stated in the budget statement that 2020, we are in September and gradually we are getting to a close. I wanted to find out if it is true that in their budget statement, SAICO will be a thing of the past.
Mr. Mike Abaka, thank you very much. And that's our final question from our in-house audience.
My name is Seth Kere, Volta region. My problem is concerning the Adbomoto. My honorable minister should listen very carefully about the decision of the Adbomoto. If you go to Volta region right now, you could see that a lot of more practices are going on. So I'm begging him that he must try as he's possible, but as a matter of urgency, to go to Volta region right now, listen to the ground, how the youth are talking, the fisher folks. They don't have the award motto. Some of them don't have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. From our Zoom audience, Chiku, Ernest, are there some questions that we need to be taking from our online audience? Then the representatives can have the opportunity to respond to the questions that is being asked here.
Right. We have 3 questions here. The first one is from Ohene Kofi, who is asking a question bordering aquaculture. And he says that aquaculture has the potential to fight, is an alternative to fight the deficit in our fisheries sector. However, there are many challenges associated with this area of fisheries regarding environmental pollution and sustainability. And his question is, how are the political parties going to fight these challenges of pollution and environmental sustainability in this sector? The second is from Kwabena Ampong, who is referring to all the assertions by the political parties that they are going to support research in fisheries. And they want to know if this promise is in the manifestos of all the parties. The third question is from Isaac Enima, who would like to know how respective political parties are going to deal with safety of fishermen at sea. This is because lives continue to get lost at sea, which are unreported. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable Atukujo, so why subsidize premixed fuel and outboard motor, if you can provide a quick response to that?
Thank you very much. Madam, when you are in government, you don't only look at, you have to look at the political, social, logical, economic, finance importance of every decision that you make. If you go to countries like China, US, that are talking about subsidy, they subsidize their fisheries. They heavily subsidize their fisheries. So I don't see why we cannot subsidize our fisheries. The key thing is that, unfortunately, this is here with us. There's also that political risk that sometimes when we are talking, we fail to factor into our decisions, because there are certain things decisions when you take has a very, very big political ramifications for you. So when you are in government, these are all the things you factor. But mainly because your people already, they have a lower livelihoods. Their incomes are declining, and so you want to support them somehow. So we support fertilizer.
So you are not going to cut subsidies, is that it?
We support fertilizer inputs. Overall, we need to have a discussion. All of us must come together and discuss this matter.
All right, thank you.
Eventually, we need to probably move away from it. But today, we subsidize fertilizer. So if we are giving subsidies to other...
Thank you. Mr. Bernard Mona, child protection on the Volta Lake.
First, let me respond that it is not true that Ghana has the lowest vessel charges in Ghana.
Sir, would you kindly respond to this one? We don't have the time for the rebuttals. I'm
Please,
sorry.
it's a question that was asked, and I want to state that it's not true. Senegal has the lowest. That is $20 per gross registered tonnage. Ghana has $135 per registered tonnage. So therefore, if you have 1,000 tonnage, for instance, you'll be paying $135,000 in Ghana, whilst the person in Senegal will just be paying $20,000. So basically, that was not wholly true. But obviously, if you look at child labor within the fishing sector, it is as a result of the lack of educational facilities within the coastal areas. And as I said, we will begin to educate, train, particularly those that are of age, that they should understand the implications. In any case, this issue of child labor must be looked at in the context of the Ghanaian. If I'm a fisherman, and that is all I do, it is important to train my ward to learn the trade that is earning a living for me and to take care of them. In that training, do you consider that as child labor, or is an opportunity for the child to learn the trade when the parent is gone? I think that we have to look at it critically and not to just bulk the issues that we hear outside to say that there is child labor. You are training your kids, just as you train them to learn how to read and write, you have to train them how to also go to the farm. So when they are doing that, you don't consider that as child labor.
Thank you. Madam Sherry Arite, I'm still trying to figure out this gentleman who came and asked you a question asked, do you remember, Mr. Ni Aite, a specific question to you. But another one from the representative of CODA wanting to...